Obrigado quem chegou, quem está chegando, tá? Vocês estão conseguindo ver certinho aí, gente? Ai. Dá um feedback aí da minha voz, por favor. Nossa, que raro o celular liberar todas as qualidades. Mas tudo bem. Quem tá chegando fica à vontade, tá? Vou lendo aos pouquinhos os comentários. E vamos nessa. É, tinha dando uns probleminha aqui, ô Fag. Dá vontade de ler sobre a aerodinâmica. Mas não, nunca muito avançado. Eu sei. Vamos ler um livro de fotografia. Deu uma vontade. De repente está frio. Acho que está bom pra gente ler uma coisinha mais ou menos de fotografia, não é mesmo? É sempre bom mandar mensagem, né? Quem tiver por aí dá um oizinho. Tá? Que tipo de fotografia vamos falar hoje? Uhum, voltou sim, o deu problema é a câmera, o celular aqui escorregou. Ah, eu tô conseguindo ler de boa o seu comentário. Não, não quero saber de fotografia de casamento, não. Creative, black and white. Perfect. Even black and white. Digital photography. Tips and techniques. Like hair tips. Eu gosto de fotos preto e branco. Ah, caramba, olha essas fotos, né? As photographers has country each and day, and every day wide early choices most the user experiences being parallelized, evaluated inductions and comforted with all the choices to be photographed. Besides of the choice of the subject. É mais fácil eu ler em página única. É bem melhor. So the choices are comfortable. Beside your choice, the subjects can be worried how photography is going to be. Is you using artificial light at the time the lighting is the best natural. I mean, lightning or light. There's a choice of lens, local light, of its sharp, shorter speed, ISO, and not emission, and the choices would be possible. The photo is just the shot. Bellman to the face of mania, this choice. Process hasn't been shot. Bellman, the face of many artists' choices, is leading of creative blocks. Sometimes the canvas of life presents every photographer. When responsible, intently you. But is in many choices. Leaves a color and presents the word in black and white. They maintain photographing in black and white. Oh, peraí. Limiting photography to black and white is obviously a strategy because the history of photography is substance of a story, the history of photography. The choice is the monochrome. Keep on trial the photography being black and white color introduced the photography around mid 20th century and the people had at the time accepting color work and accepted Canon photographic art. As I will show the creativity of black and white digital photographic tips and techniques. There's a many variety of digital technologies present in the photos and not changing the materials using radar aesthetic choice. Further from techniques, events always make sense. And if you shoot what says in digital color, and pen makes it black and white. Black and white photography is real. They echo the histories of photography, and keep in mind this. Make your own black and white pictures. Absence of black and white into our line imagery strong if color isn't present, but is imagined. Black and white photography is much strongly to the imagination. Canon of Vier and making advances the graphic design and imaging emphasis on monochrome. My goal in creative and white design to accompany the guide of you create your own black and white imagery to guarantee experience means the black and white. I assure many visual ideas can work with the black and white and shared experience. But the techniques approach and be high quality digital black and white photos. It have passion for white photography and looking for sharing joy in the art and creativity monochrome imagine to you. Quer usar algum comando antes de eu avançar para a próxima parte aqui? Quer fazer algum de perguntinhas? Tem uns de vários, tem uns mais 18 perguntinhas sacanientas. Bem-vindo, bem-vinda, bem-vindo para quem está chegando agora. Só mensagem tradicional. Quem estiver chegando, dá um oizinho. Fica à vontade, tá? Past, present, and the future. On the last part, when there's the thing, there's a great photography. Prior in the digital era, we think of black and white imagery. Ai, tem vídeo hoje não tá agradando, tá me fazendo querer dormir. Jet stills in the Second World War magazines are Eden's landscape and America waste and the classical composition of the notes. Haver and Shelt the other, Wellston, and more the parts of the shared black and white collective coincidence. Genres across film comes along or started filled up with a layout of boxes and sides, but although and fairies color photos is not recognized as art. Back then, was the days could shot the color, the black and white, and vote gold separated two amateurs and some advertising photographs, shot color, arts photographs, work and monochrome. As a super simplification, of course, but the fact is, for him, elementary camera had decided the kind of set load will be color or not. With the meaning on digital technologies and photography, color longer belongs to the physical learnings. As the best bet, shoot the full colors is a bit into the present. Your final image, color and make a outstanding black and white picture image. I will tell you more in the best is incredible white and black in digital era. 66, okay. The application towards creating black and white imagery and vectoral. In other words, let's take a choice. Similar nature, representing work and all blue and tint. So film local lace and a lens. Certainly. So it's the choice of black and white isn't making it so after the fact because the photo has a water taken. During the black and white imagery is intently created with a monochrome mind. In other words, the photo is giving the scene the representation of both color, black and white. So I decide to present you in a work in monochrome. Up to you, who shows the turn off the well, there is enough wrong with approach, but since the black and white has a permanent choice, a more intentional aberration wrong color is the best to make the choice intentionally. Whatever, whatever, it just choice the work and part of this job. Lu, já escolheu algum comando aí que você gostaria de usar? Vou mover para a página 66, que eu quero ver sobre o tema da inovação. Ah, eu falei, ô Lu, é aqui nos. Tá aqui os comandos. Vai no sobre do canal e tá aqui. São esses os comandos de sub. Oi, cowboy, bem-vindo. São esses aqui, ô Lu. Ou você pode fazer um desses aqui que são grátis também. Fica à vontade. Meus comandos são exatamente para serem usados. Digital Black and White Roadmap. Eu estou treinando um pouco a leitura de inglês, ô cowboy. É bom. Isso aqui. Estou lendo um livro sobre fotografia preto e branco. Ah, isso aí eu não sei. Isso é coisa com a Twitch, não é comigo. Mas olha lá do bom, você conseguiu já um íconezinho premiado e tem um unicórnio taradinho. O unicórnio da linguinha. Creating digital black and white photography. And the all act of resistance, anarchist and participation, considering digital captures and then inverting the color. One day and another, start digital ending with the black and white means disturbing colors, influencing variations of gray. It's important to understand the color is important itself. The color information itself is provides using the basis of information in black and white. There are many paths through achieving black and white imagery, starting with digital capture, expected and approaching the more effective in conversation with better results and the rims. The slogan, no pay, no game. It's a very simple black and white images, converting GPGs in programs like iPhoto and Picasa is a more works fine. But if you're more to sex approach, you have to work harder to get your digital hands dirty. So, it's in the case of the array of possible techniques, recently and digital capture in black and white, clean the confections and paralyze the shared shells, balloons and hubs, share the options, so you have great spectacular black and white photos. Beleza. Sem problemas, cowboy. Divirta-se no joguinho. E obrigado pelo lurk. bursting, bird, bright winter day on Morphing Headlands, California, with the billion rolling in. I use the faster sharpness, speed, freeze, motion, and the waves in the place as one contrast. Using the camera native RAW robot, converting into the image on the color using the camera SCR and Photoshop to produce multiple black and white adjustments layers in Photoshop. Wait. To create the final version da Facebook. Não, é uma técnica interessante mesmo. Preto e branco é uma coisa bem interessante de ser trabalhada, pessoal. Até hoje eu acho isso. Dá um ar de antiguidade, vamos dizer assim, um termo bonito. Mas é um termo que eu gosto de falar, dá um ar antigo. My idea in photographing an exploding wave and capture the actions was a fast and moving surf. Using speedy reveal and looking beyond on the ability of the human eye to stop motion the water is opposed. Respected the tone of water in the sunlight. Wilderness crisp creating the contrast between the wave and the shore. Eu bem tá chegando agora, sinta à vontade, tá, gente? Tem a introduçãozinha, se quiser conhecer qual é a ideia do canal, quem sou eu, fica à vontade, tá? E tá tudo aqui, tá? Não precisa dar uma lidinha. E claro, soltar o verbinho, quem tiver em Lourdes ou por aí, tá ótimo, tá? The Road Advanced. The raw file is a complete record of the capture digital sensors and tells implement of a roll the files varies to the camera manufacturer to the camera manufacturer. But it is important to understand that one file represents a large number of potential images header in specific handling and digital parts captured. Most reasonably sophisticated digital cameras can save images in the raw files through the have and change the difficult and the failed and then make it happen. Cameras also captures images in JPG and WAV files. JPG file does the same the array capture and bring camera by using a featherboard and using to save both JPG and RAW versions of the capture at the same time. The advances of JPG format and that are the taking are compact and make up so much space, and you don't have to have further work. And these files are for usual in most computers. However, this interest in creating pictures, RAW files gives more advanced than you make your own ideas. How to then make image data should interpret for examples. For example, image is exposed for the more and shows the recaptures process and different portions of the photos photo delivery. Exposing the colors, values, and more makes them across an entire image, but at last you not throwing such a data collecting the sensors as the PJ picture naturally does. Fundamentally, the creativity advances for free. After this open, pose and deepening capture and make you implement the great ideas. And that creativity is what the photos look like. It's not forcibly a different brain, the thing, can I be. Black and white and a double camera. Tá, eles. Eu acho interessante que a Adobe tentou investir um tempo em câmeras. Mas ele tá falando mais é do software, né? Se a gente pensar aqui. Né? Acho que eu vou alugar um livrinho. Pera aí. Eu vou alugar um livro. Pronto. O cardápio é sempre importante. Depois você sabe biblioteca virtual também, né? Mais parte de login, aguenta aí. Pronto. Essas coisas eu não posso mostrar não. Vamos ver o que vamos ler. Tá a fim de uma ficção científica. Vamos ver o que temos. Bravo Mundo Novo. A Máquina do Tempo. Homem Invisível, esse é clássico. Mochileiro das Galáxias, é bem legalzinho também. Sem remorso, perfeito, 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 perfeito. Eu já li o Sem Remorso. Vamos ver um livro de ciências aqui. Ok, o livro esse aqui, o título é gigante, mas o título é interessante, vamos lá. The Curse of the Method of the Writing Conduct and Reason and Seeking the Truth of a Science, by René Descartes. Muito bom. Seguimos. É um livro da biblioteca da Universidade de Toronto, de 1966. Possivelmente o livro já está velho e desintegrado, pessoal, e conseguiram conservar. Coisa que eles estão conseguindo e a gente não. Discards of the Method is published as Windows in 1637. The complimentary briefs, tracts, and often readings of the geometry and the method, notice and the autotropies. The discoverers of methods of Descartes' intellectuals confessed this faith in his statement, his own particular methods reaching the truth. The apprentice is a document in the justifications, specimens, and the actual truth that had reached the methods. And despite in the specimens, there is invitation of analogy in geometry, with the theory and settable mathematical research of theory equals algebraic symbolism, and just condition the laws and fractions of the light, which in the beginning and developing the partial explanations of the rainbow and so forth. All the achievements has a meaning of formal own life, when truths are warped and oath, the techniques and civilizations, and terms of spiritual material existentials, burst in hide and impress. However, calling therefore offer and not whatever attitudes and involving the contemplation of methods which the unique results have reached the highest concern. No one fails to draw the most thoughtful in space. The independence of their own wholesome and self-returning points of the reason and consider state the mind, really most and close and history as a road break with a torrent tradition. Proofs no longer plural and subordinates and desire certainties or pole. And the outcome, thinking, seeking. Esse é só um prefácio do livro, pessoal. Vou avançar aqui um pouco. Vamos ver o primeiro capítulo. Tem anotações do autor. Livro cheio de marca-texto. Universitário. Se for pegar livro emprestado, não use marca-texto. Não aprendam isso, gente. Discourse on method. Good sense. Part 1. Good sense is the things that most men, both equally disturbed for everyone himself, and evidence provides with it. His head is even who is most difficult to satisfy everything else. Does not desire longer emergence equality than where it possesses. And this is not likely our mistaken. His convictions is inherent either to will and to testimony, power, judging, or waiting. It's going to throw enough from the error or reason. By the nature is equal to man, it's a different diversity of opinions. Coincidence is not arising, being done the large share of the reasons from others, but solely only as another conduct along different ways and thus affects attention on the same objects. For the object, Paul said, The vigorous mind is not enough deprived existed readily to apply it. The great mind leads him to be able to highest ex acceptance and operate likewise the greatest aberrations. And as his travel very slowly, oh, may yet make the greater progress, provided they keep always in the very road to whose wild run forsaken. For myself, I have never faced my mind to any respect no more perfectly of an reality. On the contrary, I had as wished I has equaled the same others improvement of a true and clearance and the thickness in imagination on the flowness and the readers on the memory. And besides, this is not the ordering qualitations. Friozinho aqui tá foda, gente. And qualified this its contributions, perfections in mind, for the reason of sense, and assumes along which this is contributed was man and questions on the brutes. I dispose them to believe this is profound and complete it individual and the point adopting the common opinion of philosophers who says the different are greater and the less holds all in one. The accident is not among the forms and nature involves the same species. I not hesitate, however, a voice of the brief and has a singular good fortune to have a whirling, very early life fallen the certain tracks which have a conduct me and considerations of my expended of the which I have formed the method that is given the means and the think gradually agreeing no lead and raising by a light highest point with the mediocrity of a silence and brief of my life with me to reach. But I already really sown these such fruits with the throats when I think slowly enough myself and true with the eye of the philosopher that is ring me. Tô mandando mensagem aqui pra vocês que estão chegando agora. Dá um oizinho, gente. The life is a philosopher. The erudite persons and pursuits of mankind at large. I find this in scholarly one more which I don't visit vain and useless. I nevertheless was desired of high satisfaction for the progress. I consider myself as a word made and was sure and after truth and not have entered aiming certain expectations of the future to believe it is among the occupation of the man as a man. That one really that's an unimportant which as a choice after all possible. Oi, irmãos, bem-vinda! Tô lendo em inglês um livro do Descartes, deu vontade. O livro do discurso da metodologia da coerência. Has chosen, after all possible, and mistaken, and make mistaken, and it button a little copper and a glass. Perhaps I'm making a gold and diamonds. I know it's a very label we are delusion of relatives in yourselves, and as much in judgments of your friends are to be suspected when given a favor. But I shall stay in the endeavor and its current to describe the paths I have followed, and decline my life in a picture and order in each one, and be able to judge of them himself, and the general opinion, in front of them, and scattering On the current report, I myself have helped Ford's institution to able making being and habit implementing. My present design has a not teeth to be methods, a method which is out of the falling of a conduct of no this reason, but slower so for solid described which is endowment the knot on my own. They set twins gives perspective most the cause that's itself to see the great skill when one's proceed. And then the sickness particular the sickness. And qualquer pergunta eu tô respondendo, eu só tô lendo mesmo. Eu posso olhar o chat, responder perguntinha. Se quiser usar um dos comandos de que é o meio zoeirinhos, pode também, tá? Eu tenho toda essa quantidade de comandos que eu criei aqui, baseados em jogos de tabuleiro e cartas, tudo temáticozinho. Tem um hall dos cientistas que eu criei. Pera aí, deixa eu botar meu profile live pra não escutar minha voz. Pronto. Conhecer um pouquinho mais de eu. Se quiser iniciativa sub, tem aqui. Sub Prime, para conhecer quais são meus objetivos. Iniciativa Flashpoint, que eu gosto de falar, iniciativa Flashpoint. Uma iniciativa muito foda. Deixa eu ver o que mais. Tem coisinha de jogo, tem meus canal tem um canal do YouTube aqui. Tem bastante coisinha. E lá embaixo, né, se alguém quiser fazer pix. Serves the censure, but the tract, but for primarily the history, and has a tale in the which needed examples, worth for imitation, will be found, perhaps more rich than advertised not found. I have not proven useful to some without hurtful any. A moral openness will find favor with all. Eu tava lendo, eu vi esse livro aqui tá num site, eu tava olhando, moço, e falei, nossa, gente, você pega um livro emprestado de biblioteca, não passa marca-texto, gente, não! Coloca um papelzinho, qualquer coisa, mas não usa marca-texto, não! Não usa marca-texto, não! Se você comprar o livro, gente, por favor, não use marca-texto em livros emprestados de bibliotecas, não façam isso. For my childhood, I have been familiar with letters and has given believe in the clear and certainly knowledge that useful in the life might require. I certainly deserves the instruction, but as soon I have finished the entire course of study on the clothes and the which needs in custody, and I made the order to the learn. I completely changed my opinion for the found itself, involving his many doubts and errors. And I was convinced I had not advanced than further, no further. In my attempts of learning and this discovery, at my turn of my own ignorance. And yet, I studied in one of the most elaborate schools in Europe, which I chose and most must be learning man, which anywhere they found, and have it true. All the others learned there and not contacted with science and the truths. I had an addiction with all the books has fallen in my hands, treating many abrasions and many statements aimed at the masculine anywhere. I know the judgment of another, others are following me, and yet I found considerably inferior, and my faults, fellows, children were among who already make one of the few places in instructed, and in fine, have your pretty be, as I flourished in the fertility on a powerful mind has any preceding one. I as a true lad, this lad, to make liberty, good, all the man, myself, and often concluding, as no, no signs and instincts as such of nature I had of everything being give and believe. Stephen still continues, however, how this tends to studs at schools. As a war, the language strong, necessary understanding of the writing nuisance. That's the grace of the fable, stirs in the mind. As a memory dates and the history elevate in the if read with this correction on the formation and the judgment has proceeded excellent books and the word to interval the noblest man and past ages who have written and have studied, interviewed, and discovered the only choice is truth, that elegance, incomparable force and beauty, the poesy, have as the graces and delights, and the mathematics, and many have finally discovers, and it's sweetie, aided, graded to inquisitive, as there was further all the arts, and lessons labor man. The members highest useful presenting, and the Italians into search contains in persons and morals. The theology points out the path to heaven. That philosophy affords a man discovery, will apprehend the truth of all matters, and command the admiration more simple that you've seen medicine, yet other science. Seeger, cultivators, honors, and wits, and the undefined best in sanitations. Upon around it, the most respective in their own, and made is in position, and sends a real vow, and the guards against receive. Gente, eu vou postar uma água, hein, antes que minha garganta se ferre, viu? Precisava. But I believe there's already given sufficient time and language and likewise reading and writing of their histories and failures. Já li essa parte ou peraí? Não, não, essa aqui mesmo. The histories and fables for the to hold the crew and conserve another age and to travel the most shameful as useful as something of the manners of different nations may able to form a more correct judgment regarding young and prepared in thinking and everything ready to be their customs and is ridiculous and intentional as a conclusion on the useful whose experience had been limited in their own country. On their land, when too much time occupied in traveling become strained into your native country, and more curious and the customs and the past generally ignorance resent. Besides, infection teams lead us to imagine the possibles and main events are possible, and even the most fate histories are not holy, and not even the fateful stars, and they're not holy. This present matters, exaggerated and important to handle more worth, sexual meat, the leading, the most always, on the meanest, serious, striking, attend circumstances, ends and happen, remain those, not represent the truth, and that much has highlighted the conduct and the examples that the source and the fall to the extravagance on the nights of romance, and then entered projects and sets the powers. Discurso em método. Por que, o Marujo? Deixa eu ver o que você digitou aqui, pera aí. Tarde, pode. Ah, faltou. Ah, eu sei porque ele taxou, Marujo. Eu sei porque ele taxou. É por causa da palavra em inglês retarded. Aí o pessoal, pra abreviar, fala tarde. Oh, you retarded. You tard. E como você tá, meu cara? Eu tô lendo um livro aqui de René Descartes. I esteemed eloquence highly and has a raptures with a poesy, but has a truth as a both were gifts of nature rather than fruits of study. This is how the faculty of the reason prediment is most skillful disposed and their reveal under the clear leaves and hours ever pursued the honors and the truth and then they lay down. True they speak the only language and lower Britain. As engineers of the rules of rhetoric, when this has minds, storage and the faces, and who can be given the expression of greatest embellishments and harmony, and the best poems true, and with art of the poetry. Caramba, tá um frio, né? Ah, tá ótimo, Moro. O seu lurk já é uma alegria. Eu? Depois, Moro, se quiser dar uma olhadinha nos painéis novos, eu coloquei conheça a iniciativa Flashpoint. É um site, é um aplicativo, tem uma versão básica e tem uma versão muito boa, mas não é gigantesca,
o pessoal que tá restaurando, coletando todos os jogos Flash possíveis na internet. Aí não é só jogo Flash, tem tudo isso aqui de plataforma. Tem coisa pra dedéu. É um plano, é um site bem legal. Você clica aqui, vai direto no site, conhece o projeto e divirta-se. Eu com o meu PC novo, possivelmente eu vou fazer lives de jogos de Flashpoint. Pegar uns jogos clássicos de Flash, tentar zerar, ficar batendo papo, igual eu tô fazendo agora. E se tiver uma graninha sobrando, escorrega o Prime. Não tô zoando, tá? Mas se quiser, tá? Não? Assim, meu canal agora tem um cantinho da ciência também. Se você quer inspiração, você vai ter inspiração. Eu nem terminei ainda. Eu vi o horário, tava batendo. Falei, não vai dar tempo pra colocar todo mundo. Vou ter que colocar mais depois. Quer inspiração? Siga as minhas inspirações. It has a specific delight, with the mathematics account, the certitude and the evidence endure reasons. But I had not, and yet perceiving knowledge of the true use, and thinking that but contribute to the advances of mechanics arts. I assume that the foundation has a strong and solid. Should I have no failure? Superstructure, the trend of them? And on the other hand, I comprehend discussions on ancient moralist to very thoroughly or magnificent palace has no better foundation than sand and mud. They lead the features and very high exhibit the statue of far anything the earth, but they give no attendance. Certain he too virtual and Frankie. Intensive. Wait. The design. So fine. Well, it has a name, but attempt is a pride. Or super. Or pets. I relate utility and expand. Sorry, mountains and to even, but they give you certainty to understand and in this way and not less. Open the most ignorant and the most learned. É por isso que eu gosto do Descartes. O Descartes criticava todo mundo e é isso que eu gosto nele. Ele tem um pensamento muito humano. Isso é muito bom para a sociologia. And then reveals truths which live in heaven and all combinations. Sim, eu gosto de fazer interpretação enquanto eu leio, gente. Isso ajudou muito na dialética. Ajuda muito, gente. Ajuda muito. Quem me conhecer na vida real vai ver que eu falo muito com as mãozinhas. I did not suppose in the subject and turn to the implement and my reason as a truth. And order and compliments and undertake the examinations. There needs a special help for heaven and then being more than man. Our philosophy I will say nothing, except I saw the being cultive many ages and the most disguided man. Then yet there is single matter. It is fear which is not, and is still not in this boat, and nothing there's some, which is now evolved up, is not presume and anticipate that my success will be greater than others, or further. I consider a number of conflicts options touching a single matter of a man, say the other man. What can be one true, or that high falls and that was a problem? As there was science assumes the bow of precept of philosophy from philosophy. My judge not solid. Superstructure could be on the foundations, and neither honors the game. Once then has sufficient, terminated to their conservations. For I have not thanks heaven in conditions that expel and make mechanics of the science. For bearing our future, fortune, not for I might not profess scorn, glory, and cynic. I as yet very accounted for the owners, with hope predicting only through fiction styles, and in fine, of a false science. I try I knew worth sufficiently to escape being decided, provides an alchemist, the predictions of a astrologer to impostors at the magician or an artifice at the posted boasting boasting of this house prof and no things which is ignorant. For these reasons, as my age permit me to pass the under control my structures. I entirely abandoned the studies of letter and solid no more seeking other sciences than knowledge of myself. Or of that great book of the world. I expanded realms on my own, and traveling, visiting courts and armies, and holding intercourses with men different dispositions and ranks, and collective varieties experiences, provide myself a different situation which affords towards me. And above all, make certain reflections may matter experience in certain improvement. For it, as a car, and then surely find more reasoning. Each individual is with the referee efforts which personally punish him if he is judged amiss. And this is conducted on by the man of the letters in the stud, regretting reportedly matters on no practical moment, and followed by no consequences to himself. Further, perhaps foster his sanity to better more remote their from common sense. Requirement their case is assigned to great injury in hand probably, and the dictum had always more than his desire to make to distinguish the truth from false. In order, I might make it clear to discriminate the right path in life and proceed with consequence, confidence. Tá, Descartes até hoje, se a gente dá uma lida, gente, acho que um dos escritores que eu acho que mais mexeu com minha cabeça quando eu li quando eu era mais jovem. O autodescobrimento é uma das primeiras coisas que ele gosta muito de falar, né? A gente pensa um cara de 1600, é muito conhecimento de uma pessoa só. Só passar a mensagenzinha automática, tá, gente? Obrigado. Ele é uma pessoa muito além do tempo dele. Ele foi muito além do tempo dele. Se a gente imaginar, Descartes começou a escrever esse livro, ele tinha o quê? 18 anos e terminou quando tinha 22. Foi relatos que ele falou exatamente que até hoje a gente tem essa discussão. O que é o conhecimento? O que são as áreas da ciência? O que cada área da ciência prega? Estamos falando de um cara de 1600, gente. Não é um cara moderno. And the truth that, while eventually the old and considerate matters on the other hand, I find here to scattered in the ground, seldom convicted. Nations are remarkably hard less on issues among them, and then opinions on philosophers. So the greatest advances I desire for studying and considering, and this is the more observing many things, however, in the ridiculous of all operation, and yet it is by common consent received by other great nations. I learned and trained to behave great enough in the truth which I suppose in merely examples of custom and these I greatly strengthened myself for man, nerves and darkers as natural intelligence and capitate the great measures listen to the reason, but I had reading made several years and thus studying the book of the word and easily getting experience of elite, dissolving myself an objective study, employing the powers of my mind and choosing the paths I true on the found. Understand without complaining in the great success I had never quit on my country or my books. Ligado? Descarte, gente. Eu li Descartes quando eu tinha 10 anos de idade. Eu li numa biblioteca que tinha na escola. Eu li tudo em português, né? Na época eu não tinha acesso. Esse site já existia quando eu era pequeno, só que eu não tinha acesso. Descartes fala exatamente do que a gente fica combatendo hoje, que cada área do conhecimento tem suas prioridades. Isso faz que a humanidade fique pensando se existe razão, o ser humano tem pensamento. Se tem pensamento, o ser humano tem que ser racional. Se o ser humano é racional, o ser humano tem que pensar no outro. Esse foi o maior discurso de Descartes. Descartes queria que as pessoas também pensassem mais nos outros, né? Pensassem que áreas do conhecimento têm os seus poréns, mas estudar a si mesmo é o senso comum. Part 2. I had entered Germany attracted truly by the wars in that country. Really? Which is not giving growth and determination has returned the harm from the creation of the emperor. The settings and the winter arrest me to the place where I find no society to interest me, and has sites for industry by any cares or patience. I resent the world all day in seclusion. The few opportunities to expand my attention with my own thoughts. Of this one, the first that I painted has now seldom much perfection. The words composes in many separate parts, what be upon different hands would be employed, and not completed by a single master. This is observing that buildings with single architect plans and executed has generally more elegant accommodations with several adaptations, improve and making all the walls, and supposed not original build. Thus, house ancient cities, which will be the first villages, have become in the course of time large towns using operate regularly construct these towns with the professional actor has freely planning. An open plan it shows the several buildings form may equals or space beautiful to has a letter yet when observes this as indiscriminates is just interpretation as a large and there small and there are consequent crowded unhelmed on the streets and modes opposites and lay your chance her their woman will be guided by a reason and have a lead but arrangement. If they consider the nevertheless other times offers was officers and duty to see private buildings until the building ornaments the difficult reach the high perfection with materials and operating its knowledge in the same way.
Olha, eu fui surpreso até hoje como escritores antigos tinham muito tempo. Hoje em dia nós não temos todo esse tempo. Para escrever um livro a gente fica horas, anos, muitos anos. Quando a gente tem tempo para escrever, né? Os intervalinhos. Essas pessoas aqui, não sei como que era a vida delas. Não tem como a gente voltar no tempo pra perguntar para Descartes o que ele fazia no dia todo. Além de escrever tudo isso aqui na mão. A gente tá lendo uma versão que foi escrita numa máquina de escrever.
When has it finished? Those nations with starting from semi Barbados or the state as facing civilizations small degrees and the laws successfully determining and for something the simplest experience or hopeless on what particular crimes and disputes would be processed comes up sit with the last perfect
Instructions.
less perfect instructions then witness convenience their association has communicates has followed the appointments for wise later.
Ah, eu digo que cada um tem a sua inteligência, Lu. Você tem a artística, você faz aqueles bichinhos em miniatura muito bom. E a arte digital também, muito legal.
And this quite certainly the constitution, the true religions, the curtain hates with.
O tempo tá muito frio, gente. Dá sono.
Which delivered by God must be completely disappears and ever other and speak own efforts. I believe that the past emanates of Sparta has not the goodness it allows particularly for the strength of seeds of growth morals. What has that originating in the single individual, they're leading the single one. I threw the silence continue. Reading in books, said then it would probably opinion individuals messed together and remove this. There is a good sense, like this is numerous experience, and because we have all passed through the states and infancy, given necessity, the nature of the time, governed by desires and perspectives. Whose detectors know perfectly conflicts where either perhaps always conflicting the best. I further conclude that the most impossible than the judgments I correct in the solid it would had the reason, the nature for movements and the birth had always been alone. Eu só vou ler mais essa parte aqui que já vai dar 4 e. A gente vai ser 4h20 quando eu terminar. A gente só vai até as 4h30. Está ótimo, tá, gente? Pois eu vou conversar com vocês sobre esse assunto aqui que eu aprendi sozinho. Eu não aprendi isso aqui na escola, não. Eu tô relendo um livro que eu li muito tempo atrás, só que em inglês. And the truth, whatever, has not customary pulled down the houses of town with single design, the building different and the building enduring and the streets handsome, but it happens when private individuals take down his own views, erecting in it on that people sometimes constructing when their houses danger following the age or the nations are unsure. With this before example, I is certain that for a private individual who think in farming, my state by fundamentally change through and over returning it. The order remained the same true on any familiar projecting from the body of science and order and teaching, telling and schools that the foreign opinions I had embraced and true I had never solved and swept them away in my more the position and admit was more correct perhaps in the head under down and secretly on the reason I framing the I believe it that better on that I was the foundation with my own trust. For true, I recognize the various difficulties in this undertaking. This is not, however, without a it is in certain attempts. With the palm, large bodies and over homes. When difficult, yeah, keep my breath. The one and seriously shaped it. The such are always distractions, and there is floors and petitions and states. And as a matter, sixth, the constitutions service constant has an out to adopt like this movie, and there are the consequences even more later altogether clear. Responsibility for he had moves easily entirely clear. And Wesley corrected in number, citing and not having provided against effect and find most than necessary. They're moving the same manner and that highlights we have been among the mountains and mud differently become redly and smooth. Communities and bear falling the sick and strain climbing over tops of the rocks, scanning the bottom's perspective. Tá. René Descartes, durante muito tempo, ele escrevia sempre muito desse livro, se a gente pensar. René Descartes é um dos filósofos principais dos conterrâneos da filosofia e da sociologia. René Descartes escreveu muitos livros sobre a humanização, né? Vamos pegar um texto de a descrição em português que foi René Descartes, nada para o pessoal se perder. Ele foi um filósofo da parte de filosofia e sociologia. Escreveu livros pra caramba, mesmo jovem. Ele é a prova viva que a gente pode continuar, a gente pode fazer muita coisa mesmo com pouca limitação, como ele disse. Esse foi o livro que eu li quando era pequeno. Discurso sobre o método. Ele traduzindo assim pra vocês, o texto que eu acabei de ler em inglês foi Discurso sobre o método, que ele fala ele fala sobre o método de conduzir a razão da busca da verdade dentro da ciência, que é tratado na matemática e no filosófico. O discurso de método só é usado para quem estuda filosofia. Ou seja, quem faz faculdade de filosofia ou quem é amante de pensamento, quem é amante de crítica. Discurso de método, do método é um livro ideal. Deixa eu ver se tem mais algum detalhe. Porque nosso tempinho está se acabando. Bem, vou contar da iniciativa Flashpoint para vocês, gente. Indo aqui no meu canal, aqui embaixo, vocês vão ver um íconezinho chamado Flashpoint. Flashpoint é uma iniciativa que nasceu em 2018. Eles estão desde 2018, eles já sabiam que o Flash um dia ia morrer. Então eles criaram este software maravilhoso chamado Flashpoint. A versão ultimato dele vai ficar 700 GB na máquina de vocês. A versão mais simples, 2,5. Qual a diferença desses dois? Esse aqui tem todos os tudo. Tem mais de 100 mil coisas aqui, tá? Mais de 90 mil coisas aqui. Aqui você vai ter que fazer manualmente o download das coisas. Esse aqui você precisa de internet para jogar, este aqui não. Tem muita coisa que não é mais permitido pela internet americana, então é o seu risco. Vou baixar isso aqui. Esse aqui também tem, mas ele não tá falando. As plataformas são plataformas que foram muito usadas durante muito tempo para fazer fazer jogos, fazer animação. Por exemplo, esse aqui. Isso aqui eram os primeiros jogos da internet low poly, aqueles jogos 3Dzão que muita gente deve ter jogado na internet, na vida. Esse foi uma ferramenta muito usada. E tá até agora, estão colocando coisa pra caramba ainda no Flashpoint. Então tem muita coisa pra vocês explorarem. Tem muita coisa. Aqui, ó. Quantidade de jogo Flash. Tem 88.134. É muita coisa. Muita coisa. Muita coisa. E o mais importante ele é de graça. Não tem a VASH nem a AVG, tá? Pra vocês baixarem, tá, gente? Senão ele vai bloquear o computador de vocês. Ele não vai deixar vocês instalarem, não. Vocês podem, como falei, baixarem a versão simples e tudo mais. Mas é isso, gente. A vizinha de leitura foi essa. Obrigado por quem chegou, quem veio participar dessa querida leitura, lendo legalzinha, tá? Quem ficou no like também, obrigadinho, tá, gente? Obrigadinho por dar uma reforçada. Se quiserem dar sub, tá mais baratinho, tá, gente? Então, o apoio de vocês ao meu canalzinho. Eu coloquei aqui que eu sou autômato, porque tá difícil conseguir um empreguinho. Tenho minhas metas de conseguir ter um emprego permanente, tá? Um emprego fixo. E é isso, tá, gente? Muito obrigado por quem chegou até aqui, quem chegou até lá. E a gente se vê na sexta-feira analisando vinhetas. Sexta-feira, quem quiser participar, eu vou estar continuando a ver um vídeo de várias partes e a gente vai ficar analisando. Gente, obrigado de coração para quem chegou, quem foi, quem veio e até lá. Falou e até sexta. Bem, sexta eu vou falar mais devagar, que se eu tiver quebrado por causa da vacina de amanhã, você já sabe, tá? Falou, gente. Um abraço.